Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. So pretty standard video. This video is probably going to be a little bit short because, you know, it's pretty simple. It just requires a lot of practice for you to get good at your movement. So we're just going to cover over the basics and maybe a little bit of advanced tips. But I think I should set the premises off saying that this game is momentum based. I think everybody knows that by now. For the most part, if you don't, that pretty much means that as long as you keep momentum, you will always be like going forward at a fast rate. That's not the physics definition of momentum, but you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. Obviously, the best way I can show you is if I slide jump, you see how fast I'm going, but if I fuck up the slide jump, I still do the slide jump, but I definitely move not as far of a distance, and sometimes I even mess it up. You see what I'm saying? So with that said, I guess we should cover the first thing, and you guys just saw it, which is the slide jump. They show you this in the tutorial, and all you're gonna do is crouch and jump right after. And you can also chain these together. I don't recommend probably chaining them more than 3 times, like back to back to back, because you will start to lose momentum unless you jump off of a wall, which you could just jump, gain some momentum, jump, gain some more momentum, and you can go pretty fast. That's how I usually like to travel for the most part, especially if I'm on flat ground. One of the things that I can say about slide jumping, especially for controllers, because let's be real, this guide is mainly for my controller players. I know that the majority of the better players are on keyboard and mouse, but you can still be a beast on controller. But I do recommend you guys looking into maybe a Battle Beaver or a Scuff controller, something with back buttons. Could be a Sense controller, does not matter. Something with back buttons that give you 2 back buttons and a slide and a jump. So you're gonna program them to be circle and X, so you guys don't have to, you know, use your right thumb and take it off your aiming, off your right analog stick, so you can aim around. This is gonna allow you to be able to do everything and, you know, still like keep your movement while shooting and whatnot. And I do say, if you guys don't have a controller with back buttons, you could remap your circle and X maybe to your left click and your right click on your analog stick. That might help you a little bit more, but in a previous controller settings video, I did say use your left analog stick click to put your momentum ability on there, which is usually your clan ability. For me personally, I feel like that's the best, that suits me best, just because I do have those back buttons. But for those that don't, you might want to look into switching them around. I believe a lot of you guys told me in the comments that on PS5, you guys don't even have the remap option in your settings. And the way you would have to do it is you would have to go to your console settings and switch it out on your button assignments. So I think the next thing I want to talk about is the standard, which is wall jumping. Now, obviously, wall jumping is literally how it sounds, jumping from wall to wall. The thing is about this, you don't want to do it in a big alleyway like this, because although you could, you know, get across the gap, say somebody's chasing you, well, you're pretty easy to hit with a big gap like this, just because how slow you're gonna travel. Now, if you build up some momentum and you do it, you will go a little bit faster, but you will also fall a lot faster as well. And this is a horrible alley to do this in because there's so much shit in my way. But here, let me see if I can show you guys. So boom, gather up some momentum, and you fall a lot faster. You can hit barely like the edge, the bottom, but it could be nice if you were trying to build that momentum. You say you weren't really trying to, like, you know, just go back and forth and back and forth. Also, if you're using a character with some speed like Nosferatu or the Brujas or whatever, you know, you can kind of do the same thing. And now you see how far of a gap you cover and how much faster you do it when you actually have some momentum built up. I think the biggest tip I can give with wall jumping is spam X. Like, as soon as you're about to touch the wall, just spam your jump button so you never miss the timing. Obviously, you can still miss the timing, but you know, this definitely reduces the chance, because if you try to do it as soon as you reach the wall, sometimes you might miss, or it just might not register all the way. And then the other thing I should mention too is when you are wall jumping side to side to side, say I'm going up to this left wall over here and you want to eject to this wall, move your left analog stick facing the right. So obviously you're gonna run forward, but as soon as you jump from like right here, as soon as you hit that wall, your left analog stick needs to be facing this way. So say we jump from right here and then bam, you hit the wall and you're already holding your left analog stick towards the direction that you already want to go. So if you're trying to move diagonal, then move your left analog stick diagonal. If you're only trying to move across, then just move it across. You see how right here, I'm only moving side to side? That's because you go the direction of your left analog stick. Now, if you want to move a little bit forward, then boom, you move it in a diagonal manner. I guess another thing about wall jumping is you can also kind of eject backwards. So if you run directly up to a wall and you just jump without moving your left analog stick, you can kind of just eject backwards. Now, the reason why I say don't move your left analog stick is because when you do move it, like say you're moving it forward or up, you kind of get this weird like jumping pattern where you don't get the full eject. You kind of just only get a partial ejection because your character's trying to move up and back at the same time instead of you just moving back, and you get way more distance, as you can see. Without moving your analog stick, you get a lot more distance. When you have your analog stick up, you get no distance because you're trying to move forward once you're already in the air. That pretty much covers all of the wall jumping. Now, like I said before that you guys saw, you can always do all of these things with momentum. Bam, eject backwards, boom, turn, turn. Say you want to eject backwards, bam, bam. You know what I'm saying? Say you want to fall down, gather up some momentum, boom, boom, boom. You know, you start spamming your way, and then yeah. So just come into the practice, man, and practice your wall jumping. I like to practice in big alleyways because if I can get across a big alleyway, I'm gonna definitely be able to get across a smaller alleyway as well. So say you guys have a small little tunnelway kind of like this, you can also wall jump on this. Now, I'm not very good at this. I don't even attempt to do this in game. I never have. I'm literally trash at it. But you can go through a tunnelway and, you know, jump off kind of like that. You cannot hit the top. You cannot hit the top. You got to hit these little walls in between. Oh my god, I'm terrible at this. But you can do it. So some of you guys that practice this, maybe a better tunnel that doesn't have that little arch at the top and is maybe a little more flat, you could definitely get your way through it. I've definitely seen it a lot. The next thing we have to cover is the wall sliding. Now, with wall sliding, this one can be a little bit weird and annoying. So say you are wall climbing, you're climbing up the wall and you want to stop. That's all you got to do is stop and then move to whatever direction that you want to slide in. But you have to be looking that way as well. So like you have to be looking down and towards that way. Obviously, if you fall over little gaps like this, it's going to mess up the whole entire wall slide when you have a lot of stuff in your way. But look down and then go whatever way you want to go. It doesn't really work too well if you're looking up and you try to wall slide, because you see how you just immediately fall off as soon as you try to wall slide. You kind of just have to be going always in a downward motion. So I usually just like to look down. But this is a terrible wall just because there's so much stuff in the way. It's better off on probably like a wall that's a little bit more flat. But that's pretty much the basics of wall sliding. You can also do it while you're on the ground. You don't have to be climbing. So say you're just running and you just want to like slide on the wall. You just come up to the wall, move your left analog stick towards the wall and the direction that you want to go. So like left diagonal forward or right diagonal forward, depending on which side the wall is on. And you're going to be doing a wall slide. Remember that you cannot be moving up. You cannot be climbing the wall. This is only when you're falling down and you're like losing momentum in the upwards direction. So you're falling down and boom, come down, wall slide. Another thing to mention about wall sliding and all that, you can heal up while you do it. So say you're like way up here, somebody's chasing you and you're like, all right, oh, my bad. And say you're somebody's chasing you and you're up here and you're like, all right, well, let me start wall sliding. You can like plate up and then, you know, get around the corner, do what you got to do. The armor time in this game is extremely slow. That's the one thing I am going to say. I'm going to bitch about that real quick. I think they need to reduce how long it takes for you to do your armor. Like that shit takes like 5 seconds, man. For 50 armor, that shit needs to take like 3 seconds. Not gonna lie. But I guess like this right here, and now that I'm right here that I see it, this is a perfect example of doing the wall jump to jump to jump to jump inside of here. That other way was actually very terrible just because of that arch. But as you guys saw right there, bam, 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 bam. It's so much faster. Imagine if you're chasing somebody down and you're just like, what's up, buddy? You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna be hard to hit and you're gonna be able to shoot him, do some damage. Whether your accuracy is good or not doing that, that's a different story. But yeah, so let me not make this video too long, man. Definitely kind of rambling a bit. So I think one of the last things, the last couple of things I do want to talk about is you healing while you jump, because you can do that. I haven't taken any damage, but while you're mid-air and say you're like running away and you have a lot of momentum gathered, you can heal like mid-air while you jump. Say you guys jump off a huge ass rooftop and you're going downwards with the slope. Obviously, you guys should know by now, if you're going downwards with a slope, you're going to go faster, especially when you eject off. You could be healing mid-air and then also like give yourself another slide. Do note that if you try to heal and jump while you're healing, it will cancel the healing animation and you have to reset it. So do not jump. Make sure it's in a spot where you had a lot of air. You have a lot of air time, and you can also get like another slide afterwards. The last thing I do want to mention, so if you jump off a huge cliff and you don't slide, you're gonna do the Superman land-in, and you don't want to be doing the Superman land-in because you're stationary for a bit and you can get sprayed up and killed easily by whoever's around. So the way you do it, when you jump off, you can either hold slide, or you could literally crouch right before. So you can either hold circle or slide as soon as you land, or crouch as soon as you land, and you will do a slide when you jump off a huge rooftop. And that's a huge tip because you do not want to do the Superman land-in and be stationary. So with that said, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with momentum and movement in general. Obviously, guys, you're gonna have to practice it, and you're gonna have to practice this, and you're gonna have to chain all of this together to be able to finesse an enemy. Don't get too caught up. And sometimes I find myself doing this a lot. When you get too caught up trying to be cool and, you know, jumping from wall to wall to wall, trying to look cool, man, don't try to look cool. Just do the fundamentals and get the kill. Obviously, if that requires you to just do a standard jump to the wall, climb up, bam, 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 spray, 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 then you know, then that's all you're gonna do. Don't make it overly complicated, because when you overcomplicate things, it's gonna get a lot more difficult for you to actually get kills and actually feel a difference in your movement. Obviously, if you get better and you can finesse a lot of these things a lot more, then you won't have to worry about that. But with that being said, I'm Big Cat 188. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and if you did, hit this video with a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more Bloodhunt content, and yeah, I'm out. Peace.